Hi, everyone. Hope you've had an amazing week so far. It's my pleasure to have you on board the second episode of Alavi's mini webinar series, Three Questions with the Everyday Digital Marketer. I'm your host, Vishal from the Marketing and Growth team at Alavi. So let me start off by giving you a very brief explanation about what we do here at Alavi. Alavi helps digital marketers and e-commerce brands all around the world scale their Facebook campaigns profitably while providing AI-based recommendations on how to profitably manage your ad campaigns. As part of our latest knowledge sharing initiatives, we've launched this series to further connect with our audience while also providing exciting new content to our viewers. Without further ado, let me introduce today's guest for our episode, Jahanzaib Khalid.
Hello.
Jahanzaib is a growth marketing professional with more than 12 years of diversified experience in the B2B marketplace, news and media, SaaS, digital agency, as well as e-commerce startups. He's currently associated with Optimyse as a senior manager, growth and performance marketing, which specializes in product development and growth for SaaS companies. Jahanzaib's core expertise includes performance marketing, user acquisition, SEO, and digital analytics. It's a pleasure to have you on board, Jahanzaib.
Thank you.
How have you been? So let's start off with what you've been doing around these days, how you've been keeping yourself busy.
So yeah, thank you for this providing me such a honor to have this on this session. So basically, I am working with SaaS clients right now based in Europe, and these clients include people from the cybersecurity, so startups from the cybersecurity, and some from HR tech, ad tech. So basically, these startups are based in Europe, and they are primarily looking for, let's say, for growth marketing, and they are looking to scale up on a immediate basis. So there is a day-to-day, you have to meet a lot of people around, and you have to understand their needs and understand the growth objectives and align your campaigns and all strategy towards the perfection. So this is my all-day job these days.
That's what you can keep yourself busy with. Sounds like a very full-time job.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful, Jahanzaib. So let's move on to today's topic of discussion, Facebook strategy for scaling. Running Facebook ad campaigns can be an incredibly effective way to grow your business, as we all know. And while it's rather straightforward, when starting out, taking your Facebook ad campaigns to the next level doesn't come without its challenges. Considering this, we decided it's a very relevant topic to have this discussion on. So let's begin with our first question. How does the learning phase work? Jahanzaib.
Yeah, so basically learning phase is important for every you can say the platform, because if we consider about the Google ads and Facebook ads, so both primarily work in the same way. That let's say if you are trying to optimize a conversion action campaign, so in the learning phase usually it shows that when you action campaign like generating a lead on a website, driving sales on a for an e-commerce store, so you in a, let's say, it understands the system, and it's a 7-day learning period process where the systems try to achieve 50 results in a learning period. Okay, so if the target is not met, it shows you the limited learning. So ideally you don't have to wait for, let's say, like 7 days with minimal changes within your campaign, and let the systems understand, and you can try to learn in the period of learning phase. So what we have seen that in most of cases the CPA and goes high, and it's very natural, because if the campaign on that side is in a learning period, so ideally you need to wait it around, and you have to give a time, let's say 7 days, 8 days to understand, ideally 7 days. So if you try to change a lot of things over there, and if the system is unable to achieve 50 conversions, so it goes into a limited learning curve period. So but the system again will try to get at least 50 conversions, so then it will stabilizes over the period of time. It's highly recommended not to do any changes. So learning period is a very important for a conversion action campaign. So it doesn't matter once you are doing a campaign for brand awareness or any other campaign which has no objectives of sales. So ideally it works mainly for conversion action campaigns. We are setting for any action to drive leads, sales, and or any other objectives. Yeah.
Understood. So can we dwell a bit on the different stages of the learning phase in terms of how, when we're setting up an ad campaign?
So learning stages depends, let's say, on, let's say, if you are trying to optimize and setting up new campaign, ideally if you have enough conversions data, so it becomes easier. Let's say if you
Right.
don't have enough conversion data in your pool, let's say your pixel is empty and you are starting up a new account. So in that case, learning period gets, let's say it's very crucial and gets up to 7 days or maybe more than 7 days if its system is unable to find sufficient conversions. So, but if you have a very established account, let's say you are running a campaign and having a 300 or 400 closes per week, so then definitely the learning period gets optimized quickly, and it gives you results in a way, in a faster way. Otherwise, if you have a very new account and with a limited, let's say, conversion pool, because it mostly have a, let's say, in a phase that you have a new account, in the new account it takes more time and it takes more budget. But if you have
Absolutely.
a existing account and you have a, let's say, conversion action is fully optimized, let's say if there is an e-commerce store that's driving, let's say, 500 to 600 conversions per week, and you are setting up a new campaign in that phase, definitely. So there are stages, like you have a new account, you have a established account, you have a account that was not active for last, let's say, 90 or 80 days, maybe 100 days. So the system has to understand the data. The more precision, the more recency makes a strong effect in your learning phase of your conversions.
Understood. Thanks a lot for the thorough explanation on the learning phase. So moving on to the second question, Jahanzaib.
Hmm.
How fast can you scale an account? And should you use campaign budget optimization?
Yeah. So basically, the scaling of the account definitely is important to understand how well your account is structured, because structuring is definitely, because in Facebook there are lots of overlapping, and compared to the other platforms we have, let's say Google Ads. But Facebook has a very strict, you can say, you have, if you are not, your account is not fully structured, so you might face lots of overlapping, because overlapping issues creates delivery issues, ad delivery issues. What I've seen in the while in different accounts, we will try to optimize everything on a campaign level. So for scaling, you need to have a proper structure with better tracking and understand the importance of the audiences and creatives. So these 3 or 4 components are very much important to scale your account. Otherwise, if you don't have these components aligned with your objectives and in your account, so then you can't scale quickly. So understanding the CBO is basically, there's a type of budget optimization. One is the ABO and the CBO. So ideally, ABO is used when you have a new account, maybe a new campaign where you are unaware of which creatives gonna work. So it's better to start with ABO and do a creative testing over there and within audiences, and then start to and then you have sufficient results. Then you can go for CBO, because CBO is an ideal when you have a proven creatives and audience data. By using CBO, you allow systems to optimize the budget across the ad sets to get you the overall best results. Instead of setting individual budgets on ad set level, you define on a campaign level. CBO doesn't spend the budget equally to all ad groups, because it optimizes the entire budget on the campaign level. So if you need to have drive more conversions, then so you have to see your campaign on the performance on a campaign level, not on ad set level, because most of times when we used to see the performance of using a CBO campaign, we try to see that which ad groups has performed well, because CBO optimizes the budget on the ad group level based on the conversion, mostly the conversion likelihood, that the more conversion likelihood of each ad set, so it drives at 70% of the winning to the winning ad group, and 30% of the budget may go to a less winning ad group, or maybe ad set. So this is something that CBO optimizes. So ideally, it works when you have a sufficient data and when you have a very crystal and clear understanding of your creatives, that these creatives work like this, like a very performance in last, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks. So then you can shift your data from ABO to CBO to understand and to give more aggression to your, let's say, budget and maybe spending and conversion action. So CBO is ideal when you have sufficient data, and we have sufficient data in the
At a
proven.
later stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understood, Jahanzaib. Thanks a lot for the valuable insight. So we also have our product manager, Niroshan, on board the call, who will give us a quick insight on how Alavi can help you scale without fear. Niroshan, over to you.
Thanks, Vishal. So I'll give a quick intro to Alavi. And Alavi Insight, actually a platform where you can research for audiences or interest, behavior, and demography. And it will give a lot more information than compared to Facebook Ad Manager. And for instance, here you can search a topic and select the country. Here, I search for shoe, and then you can see 79 interest found for this the topic called shoe. But in Ad Manager, you won't find this many the audiences easily. And here you can see not only the direct interests, even the brands, and there are so many indirect interests also available, so that you can target and experiment different type of audiences for your products and the brand. And in addition to that, you can see the audience sizes. And once you connect your Facebook to Alavi Insight, you can see what percentage of your customers are interested in these each of interest. And that is a good indication how relevant these audiences are to us each topic. And then you can look at my fans percentage, people who are engaged with your fan page. And then also you can add a competitor. So if competitor has a Facebook interest, you can add click here and add it, and then it will allow you to spy on to what are the interests your competitors audience has. So that will give you a competitive intelligence to start campaign or experiment your audiences. And finally, as Jahanzaib mentioned, overlap is a really important metric in Facebook, because if you have audiences are overlapping one in multiple campaigns, so you will face a delivery issue. So here quickly you can see the overlap, and by clicking that you can see what are the ad set actually overlapping with this selected audience. And in addition to that, you can look at age and gender. Since Facebook now discontinue age and gender for your customers, this is a good opportunity. You can see age and gender breakdown for your customers, people who are interested in each of these topic. Finally, you can add each of these interests to a shortlist. So once your research is completed, you can simply click on my shortlist, so that you can see all the shortlisted audiences. And finally, this is not only for Facebook targeting. You can use this, identify your customer persona, what they like and what they don't like. And also you can do content marketing, any campaign, engagement campaign, online and offline, using this information. Yeah, Vishal, that's it from my side.
Thanks for Niroshan for the valuable insight on Alavi. So Jahanzaib, this leads us to our final question.
Yeah.
What are the best practices for detailed targeting? Detailed targeting is something that's very often talked about in the Facebook ad space. So it would be great if you could just outline a couple of tips on when we're using detailed targeting and whether you essentially recommend it.
Sure. So basically, to understand the data targeting, you should need to have a mindset to closely understand your audiences based on that what exactly the that audience works. Let's say, so best tool what I've seen and what I've experienced is using the audience tool of your competitors, like understanding that what exactly the people are engaged to and what sort of persona they used to carry. So it's all about testing, that how well you're testing on, because let's say make an example. If I understand about the detailed targeting and I have done a couple of experiments. One comparator, oh sorry, one of our client was selling the let's say you can say the luxury accessories, and they were, let's say, they were unable to find a good audiences. So what we have done, that using the detailed audiences, we tried to target the users that were using the Apple OS, you can say iOS, and using that iOS, the conversion likelihood definitely goes up, and it helped them to get more conversions based on when they classify the audiences based on the detailed targeting, having the audiences that which are using Android, and the audiences were using the iOS. So we have seen a significant improvement in conversion rates, because people with iOS have a higher let's say purchasing power, and the offer was very much let's say very much, you can say that the value of that brand was associated with iOS. So that definitely it helped us. And apart from that, let's say if I was managing the campaign, in my last association with the company, so we had different markets. So every market has a different, let's say, challenges. So when I was working for the Canadian company, oh sorry, Canadian region. So in that region, we have dual speakers. So if I try to create a copy of English and target the entire language, is what the Canada has. Let's say they have English as a primary language, and French is the official language. So if you try to do same ad copy of English to French speakers, so then definitely the conversion rate doesn't pop up, and and the likelihood of conversion gets dropped. So it creates a hassle for the marketers to, let's say, find the more conversion rates. So what we did, we tried to create a separate assets targeting the English speakers based in Canada and the French speakers in Canada using the detailed targeting. So it helped us to get better engagements in terms of, let's say, the entire customer journey gets you can say let's say improve. So that's why I personally see the understanding the audiences, the persona, and the behavior is important to use the digital targeting. Because if you don't know about the audiences, and then you can't use a digital targeting option that the people who are the frequent travelers, let's say, if you're trying to market any airline company, so if you want to target frequent travelers, so then frequent travel is definitely your audiences, because it can drive you better results. So understanding the audiences, understanding the persona around your audiences is definitely important. So, and then you can try to use the Facebook options and test it around, and then you can get best result. So basically, there is no hard and fast rule for any industry. So you have to test it around. So because most of times it comes with a different scope, different let's say different country has different needs and persona. So definitely detailed targeting is something that you need to understand with the help of your data, industry, and persona. Yeah.
There we have it, folks. That's a +1 for detailed targeting.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for joining us today, Jahanzaib, and for all the valuable insight and content that you've provided. And thanks to all the listeners. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and learned something valuable today. Please do reach out to us if you have any feedback on the webinar. A recording of the webinar will also be available on our YouTube channel and our Alavi.ai website. You can also check us out on social media via LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you everyone for joining us again on this episode, and we hope to see you again soon next time. Thanks a lot, Jahanzaib.
Thank you.
A great one then.